Greetings, people of the interwebs, it's Dan here. Welcome to a new series, WWE based on the channel. I'm going to start out calling it shoot wrestling. And if you don't know what a shoot means, it's whenever something's just right off the bat, done on the fly, no script. And I'm just going to talk about various wrestling topics with no script and just kind of right off the bat. This might seem similar to another wrestling series called Off the Script, done by a great guy named JD from NY on YouTube. You can find him, JD from NY206, on YouTube. I'll try to leave a link to his channel down in the description. You can go and check him out. But yeah, I'm going to start out calling this series Shoot Wrestling. If you want to give me topics to talk about in the next video, then give me them in the comments down below. But today, for the first video in this potential series, I just wanted to give a general state of the WWE video, and wherein I talk about the state and the, where all of the major titles are at and what various competitors could be going for those titles and how those titles could be defended and other such things. Now, the big titles that I'm talking about are, of course, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the IC title, the US title, the women's title, and also the tag titles. Those 5 big titles are the ones I'm going to be talking about. Now, we're going to start out with the one that I feel has the least merit out of those 5 and the one that I feel has the least competition out of those 5, which is the tag titles. Now, of course, the New Day are currently holding the tag titles. They've held them since SummerSlam last year, so almost a year that New Day have held the tag titles. And really, the only 2 big name tag teams that could go after those titles realistically from the New Day are Enzo and Cass and the Club, because those are the only 2 really over tag teams with the fans. But both of them are probably still a little too fresh to go after such a prestigious thing as beating the New Day for the titles. Because the New Day are almost seen as invincible at this stage. So I'm gonna kind of lay off those guys for a second. But yeah, I feel like Enzo and Cass and the Club, aka Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, are really the only 2 names right now in WWE that could logically go after New Day and the tag titles. My first choice would probably be the Club. I feel like Enzo and Cass need a little bit more, merit and what do you call it? They need a little bit more credibility before they can go after the New Day and their tag titles. So Enzo and Cass, for now, they're just probably going to kind of sit on the sidelines for a while. I feel like the Club, you need to build them up to look like monsters in the next couple of months leading up to the second biggest pay-per-view of the year in SummerSlam. And, you just need to build them up to be absolute monsters. You can't have them losing to teams like the Usos anymore. They need to look like beasts if they're going to go after the New Day for the tag titles. So I feel like you just need to make the Club look huge leading into SummerSlam. And SummerSlam's going to be big in terms of the scene for all 5 of these titles. So I'm going to say you need to make the Club look like absolute monsters leading into SummerSlam, and then have them go into SummerSlam and actually beat the New Day on something dirty, probably. But it's basically going to be a handicap match, because it's a 3-member tag versus a 2-member tag. So it's going to be handicap for the Club, or for that matter, for whoever goes up against the New Day for the titles. It's pretty much going to be a handicap match. So I'd say make the Club look like absolute beasts leading into SummerSlam, and then have the New Day lose the titles at the same pay-per-view that they won the titles at last year in SummerSlam. So that's my view on the tag titles. Now, moving on to the next title on my list, we're moving up in terms of credibility here, which is the women's title. Now, the women's title, I don't feel like can gain much more credibility around the current champion in Charlotte. So I honestly feel like you need to, first off, get Sasha Banks well again. She suffered a concussion, and now she's injured, and, you need to get her better by SummerSlam, because, like I said, the best pay-per-view of the year to change titles apart from WrestleMania, is SummerSlam. Like, basically, that's the other one where you change big titles, where big titles change hands, is SummerSlam. So I feel like you need to get Sasha better for SummerSlam. I feel like in the next couple of months, you need to call up Bayley from NXT. And I feel like you also need to get Becky ready for a big match at SummerSlam. And it should be a fatal 4-way between Sasha, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte for the Women's Championship. Fatal 4-way at SummerSlam between the 4 horsewomen of NXT, because you know that Bayley's going to be over in WWE, because she's been the most over woman in NXT by far for the longest time, for several months now. She's been the most over woman in NXT. So you know she's going to be over the second she debuts, and you need to debut her. If you're going to do a Fatal 4-Way for the women's title at SummerSlam, which is what I feel would be the best decision, you need to call Bayley up soon enough to where she's not going to be too fresh at SummerSlam, but to where it's not going to be like, oh, well, you know, she's been around for a while and she hasn't really been putting any big matches, so I get behind her. So I feel like you need to call her up sometime before Money in the Bank. Would be an ideal time to call her up. If you call her up after Money in the Bank or at Money in the Bank and that's when she makes her debut, then everyone's probably going to think she's too fresh to be able to win this title, and they're not really going to be behind her. Because I feel like ideally for this match to go well, this potential Fatal 4-Way for the women's title at SummerSlam, you need to have all 4 women. You need to be able to have people getting behind all 4 women. You need to have people being able to get behind Becky, Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley as well. You can't just have them getting behind, oh, maybe Charlotte and Becky, and not getting behind Sasha and Bayley. You know, so I feel like you just really need to get that done. That's important. And especially the most important thing, get Sasha Banks better again and get her back as soon as possible, because she's essential to the women's title scene right now, because she was one of the 3 in that historic triple threat match at WrestleMania. She was one of those 3. So you need to get her back into the title scene as quickly as you possibly can. And yeah, set up that Fatal 4-Way at SummerSlam. I feel like it could be an absolute bombshell of a match. And yeah, set that up, because that'd be killer. Fatal 4-Way between the 4 original horsewomen of NXT, and just have them go at it for the biggest women's title. That'd be pretty insane. Moving on to the U.S. title. Now, this could be, if they book it wrong, it could be a 2015 2.0 in terms of the U.S. title scene. Because it could be, oh, look, Rusev has the U.S. title. He's anti-American. And we have this guy, John Cena, who's nothing but America and Fruity Pebbles. And he's going to go and take the U.S. title away from Rusev at some big pay-per-view, probably SummerSlam. And then he's going to just do his open challenge thing again. And then he's going to lose it to some random mid-carder. And then they're going to, you know, give the title less prestige again. It could turn into that. I'm hoping it doesn't, because they could do a lot with Rusev as the U.S. champion in this whole anti-American portion of his gimmick. They could do a lot, and especially since he's teamed back up with Lana, this could be absolute fire in terms of a good rivalry between Rusev and John Cena. Because don't get me wrong, the 2015 one leading up to Mania 31 was great. But this one could be absolutely incredible, because you could just have Rusev look like this absolute beast, maybe have him beat John Cena at SummerSlam and retain the U.S. title, and just have him go on this monstrous run with the U.S. title until maybe you have another superstar that becomes big enough with the fans, maybe AJ Styles or something like that. And not necessarily put the WWE Championship around AJ Styles, but maybe have him win the U.S. Championship. Or maybe have him win the Intercontinental Championship. Or one of the not WWE championships. You know, one of those that's sort of delegated to the mid-carders almost. And the IC title, I'm not saying that the IC title is a mid-card title. It's gaining prestige now because of the incredible matches going on in the IC title scene. It's just that the guys who are holding the IC title right now are largely seen as mid-card wrestlers. So, yeah, maybe have AJ Styles win, like, the US Championship off of, say, Rusev, if Rusev is still holding it, by TLC? Maybe even Royal Rumble, I don't know. Maybe add that match to Fastlane to make Fastlane a little bit more interesting. Have Styles win a title in the WWE. Do you realize how crazy fans would go for that? But anyway, yeah, that's the U.S. title scene. It could be insane once John Cena comes back next Monday on Raw. It could be insane, and especially with a guy like Rusev holding it. If he could just hold it for a long time and just go on an absolute tear, much like he did when he debuted and he won the title, it could be ridiculous. So now we're moving on to, let's see, we've done the tag titles, we've done the women's title, we've done the US title, the IC title. Now the IC title is becoming a way more interesting scene than the WWE World Heavyweight title scene is, which I guess is good because it's giving the IC title more prestige and more of a name in the company and with its fans, but if you want to make good business sense, you should have that belt being the prize in the WWE. You should have the WWE World Heavyweight Championship as the prize in the company. It shouldn't be the IC title because that's the title that's getting the best matches out of it. it should be the big one because it's the big one. And in terms of the main event scene, you've got a bunch of big hitters coming back. Seth Rollins returned at Extreme Rules. You got John Cena returning next Monday Night on Raw. You've got Randy Orton returning pretty soon. You've got a bunch of big hitters coming up from NXT soon that could be involved in this. And also, what a convenient time, because tonight on Raw there was actually the first 5 qualifying matches to determine the first 5 members in the big Money in the Bank ladder match. I don't know if there's only going to be the 5 or if it's going to be, more than that, if there's going to be more added in at a later date. All I know is that there were 5 qualifying matches tonight on Raw to determine the 5 people competing in the big ladder match at Money in the Bank in just a few weeks' time. So the first member in that Money in the Bank ladder match was Sami Zayn. Now, Sami Zayn is a really electrifying guy. I like him. He puts on good matches, but if he's not even in a big enough place to where he can hold the IC title right now, I don't think he deserves to be Mr. Money in the Bank just yet. Maybe give him a little bit more time. Maybe next year's Money in the Bank, he could be one of the big contenders for the briefcase. But I feel like for now, it's just going to be like the IC ladder match at WrestleMania. It's just going to be like, yeah, let's give him his match to where the fans can get a pop out of it, and then we'll save him for a later date. So I feel like he's not really a big hitter who's really in there for the briefcase, but it's good to see him get in. Now here's a guy that I want to be a big contender for the briefcase, Cesaro. Now I know that they're probably not going to have Cesaro winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship just yet, but I want him to be heavily in there for this briefcase because he's electrifying. He's a great in-ring performer. He's got great feats of strength. I've said all these things before in the past. He's absolutely incredible, and he's decent on the mic, contrary to the popular belief of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. But Cesaro's actually really decent overall. He's got everything you need to be a good champion in this company. And I just feel like he needs his shot. I feel like at Extreme Rules, they should have put that IC title on him and just let him run with it. Just let him go forever and ever and ever and ever. Just let him go. And, he actually qualified by beating The Miz, and I pretty much knew that Cesaro was going to qualify because he's lost both of his championship matches at the last 2 pay-per-views against The Miz, and The Miz already holds what he calls the title. So why would he want to go for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship when he already has what he calls the title? So yeah, I pretty much knew that Cesaro was going over in that match, and I'm really glad that he did. And so Cesaro is also in the Money in the Bank ladder match, which is great. Chris Jericho, he was one of the principal innovators to the Money in the Bank ladder match. I mean, yeah, I don't feel like he is still in that big crop of people who can go for that WWE Championship. I feel like he needs to, for now, stay in the Intercontinental and US title scene. Because, he's a 9-time Intercontinental Champion. He's one of the best Intercontinental Champions of all time. Why not have him be in that scene as opposed to having him be in the WWE Championship scene? But he's in the Money in the Bank ladder match. He's not one of my top 2 or 3 to win. He's just not. So anyway, I really don't have Chris Jericho going over in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But on a brighter side, just to kind of offshoot from this whole thing, Enzo returned on Raw, which was great. The certified G and the bona fide stud, which you can't teach. Anyway, he returned on Raw, which was great to see. I loved it. I love Enzo and his great energy. He's awesome. So yeah, it was great to see Enzo return after that bad concussion that he got at Payback. That was just horrible. And also, Charlotte said bye-bye to Ric Flair, which was nice. She still remains a heel, though. I figured that after she banished Ric Flair from her matches, she would just automatically have the obligatory face turn. But she somehow managed to still keep herself heel from the promo that she cut banning Ric Flair, which was awesome. I love how she can still remain heel without having that guy at ringside, because like I said in my Payback review video, I don't mind her remaining a heel. I don't mind her staying a heel. I just don't want every single one of her matches to end in a janky finish involving her dad in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that she sent Rick packing. Anyway, moving on. Now, this guy is my top pick for the Money in the Bank ladder match. Dean Ambrose. Now, Dean Ambrose beat a former Money in the Bank holder in Dolph Ziggler, but Dolph Ziggler held Money in the Bank back whenever there were 2 world titles, and there was one that was seen as less prestigious than the other one. And he cashed in and won the World Heavyweight Championship, which was great. But now that there's only 1 world title, and there's only 1 big one for the Money in the Bank, I don't feel like that's ideal for Dolph Ziggler just yet. So I was pretty positive that Ambrose was going over in this one. And Ambrose, in fact, did. And like I said, he's my favorite for the Money in the Bank ladder match. I want this guy to win Money in the Bank. And if either Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins is holding the championship at the time that he decides to cash in, that would be a great story. You know, having him hit, like, Dirty Deeds and then maybe some kind of weird, like, clothesline combo and then another Dirty Deeds, or maybe stealing their finisher or something like that to pin him for the championship. That'd be great. But I want to see that championship around Dean Ambrose. That'd be awesome. But anyway, moving on from Dean Ambrose, as I said, he is my absolute favorite. I want this guy to win. It's either him or Cesaro. Or maybe this next guy, in Kevin Owens, who was the 5th and final guy to qualify for the Money in the Bank ladder match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in just a few weeks' time. He beat AJ Styles, which, I mean, I get the fans want AJ Styles to win that big belt, but it's not going to happen. Even if he were to qualify for Money in the Bank, and even if he were to get the briefcase, they'd probably pull a Sandow on him and have him not even win the title. So, I don't know, man. It would just be a vicious cycle of us consistently wanting something and never being fulfilled and never being satisfied with it. Because, let's face it, Styles is Mr. TNA. Vince hates TNA for some odd reason. Styles being Mr. TNA, Vince wouldn't put a belt on him. That's just the flat truth. So even if Styles were to get into the Money in the Bank ladder match, I wouldn't want him to win. He wouldn't be one of my favorites to win. And even if he did win, I knew if he cashed in the contract, they wouldn't let him win the title. So, I mean, I guess it's all for the better in the long run that AJ Styles didn't win and Kevin Owens ended up going over in that match, because I feel like Kevin Owens, Cesaro, and Dean Ambrose are the 3 top favorites out of the 5 qualifiers. I feel like Jericho and Sami Zayn aren't exactly in it in this ladder match. I feel like Cesaro, Owens, and Ambrose are going to be the 3 big hitters in the match. And yeah, that's basically it for the Money in the Bank match. Now, who do I think is going to come away with the big hardware? And I'm assuming it might be either SummerSlam or maybe Survivor Series or maybe Royal Rumble. I don't know when the cash-in's going to happen, but I know when it happens it's going to be big. I don't think I've ever seen a cash-in. Well, I saw the Alberto Del Rio cash-in in 2011, whenever he failed to win the title off of CM Punk at Money in the Bank 2011. Well, he didn't necessarily fail to win the title. He never officially cashed in. But I did see the attempted cash-in of Alberto Del Rio the night of Money in the Bank, but it wasn't successful. I personally have never seen a cash-in at the pay-per-view immediately following Money in the Bank, which typically is SummerSlam. And I think it would be great to see a cash-in by whoever wins the match at SummerSlam. Or maybe even the night of, the night of Money in the Bank, whenever there's that big match between Rollins and Reigns. Could you imagine? Either way, if at Money in the Bank, the match between Reigns and Rollins is seen as, if Dean cashes in right at the start and it becomes a triple threat, or even at SummerSlam, if they pull like a Payback 2.0 and decide to have a rematch, Reigns v. Rollins at SummerSlam, and then Dean Ambrose cashes in like right before the match and has it become a triple threat, that'd be awesome to see a triple threat between all 3 members of the Shield and them coming back together again, but sort of not together again, and maybe booking like a Seth Rollins babyface turn, because I didn't like how Seth Rollins returned as a heel. I would have much rather had him return as a babyface. He started sounding babyface. You know, he started out sounding incredibly babyface at the beginning of his big promo at his return on Raw tonight. But he went heel very quickly, and I literally felt my heart drop to my stomach, because Seth Rollins needs to come back as a babyface. Because that's what everyone wants. Everyone wants Seth Rollins to come back as a babyface. And I feel like for the benefit of his career, he needed to either come back as a babyface, which he didn't, WWE blew that opportunity, or they need to turn him babyface as quickly as possible and potentially have Roman Reigns turn heel. And if there is a triple threat, if Dean decides to cash in his contract either on the night of Money in the Bank or the pay-per-view after at SummerSlam right before the match to make it a triple threat, I feel like Reigns needs to turn heel at some point before then to where Rollins can become babyface and potentially even team with Dean Ambrose. And then we could have, like, not necessarily the Shield, but maybe the... I don't know what to call him. But anyway, yeah, I feel like that's basically the big thing for the main title scene. But up until that point, up until we have Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns, whenever that match may happen, if it ever does happen, we, of course, have Randy Orton and John Cena returning very soon, which is awesome to hear. But I feel like John Cena honestly needs to be in for the IC title. I really feel like that because, like I said, the IC title is putting on better matches. It's getting better news. It's getting better buzz than the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And John Cena's also never won the Intercontinental title. It's pretty much the only title he's never won in WWE. It's pretty much one of the only things he's never done in WWE is win the Intercontinental title. And I feel like now is as good a time as ever because it has so much prestige. It has so much of a head of steam going behind it that if John Cena doesn't go for it now, he may lose the opportunity to go after the IC title, and he may never win the IC title. And it may be that one and only belt that he never won in the WWE. So, I don't know, man. I feel like John Cena needs to be in the IC title scene purely because that just needs to happen. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the state of WWE, and that was the first episode in this potential video series called Shoot Wrestling. As I said, I'm going to try to leave a link to the creator of Off the Script, JD from NY, the guy who, in a way, inspired this series, down in the description below. You can go check him out. Real nice guy. Got a real good Off the Script series. You can find some good Off the Script goodness on his channel. I believe he has over 100 episodes of the stuff, and they're all really lengthy. They're all sometimes at least double the time length of this video. So anyway, if you did enjoy this video, please leave a like down below. If you agreed or even disagreed with anything that I said in this video on the state of WWE and the state of the titles and where they should go with all the titles, then also leave a comment down below. Let's have a chat. And also, if you want to see more WWE content or just more content in general, because I don't even know what kind of content I'm going to be uploading on this channel in the near future, then don't forget to hit that little red subscribe button down below so you can get email and text alerts anytime I upload a new video. Certified G's and Bonafide bosses, stay safe, and I'll see you at a later date. Farewell.